Hello all, a few select woodworking goodies from Banggood to show you in this vid. As usual, some I bought myself, some Banggood sent to me to review. In this lot, I've got a heavy canvas apron, low profile plane stops for 20mm dog holes, a solid aluminium Mitre Protractor, an all metal concealed hinge drilling jig, and, at long last, a Bessie/Festal style guardrail ratcheting clamp. Starting with the Guardwell ratchet clamps, cutting right to the chase, at £16 odd each, these are half the price of the established Bessie, Festal and even Axminster clamps of the same type. So is it half the clamp? Well, it does have its minor quirks. For example, the shoe is steel with no rubber or plastic boot to protect your work. Also, there's no stop at the end of the clamp, so, as is, you can pull the clamp right off the bar. Here's my Axminster version for a quick comparison. As you can see, it too has a steel shoe, but with a plastic cover to protect the work. It also has a little nubbin at the end of the clamping bar, so the clamp stays with the bar. The Banggood clamp is marginally smaller too, slightly less bulk to the lever, and the clamping bar isn't quite as long. Another subtle difference is the ratchet stops are slightly larger on the Axminster, or closer together on the Banggood version if you like. Popping a small M4 bolt solves a lack of stop at the end of the bar issue. That in place, I can open the clamps out and show you that although both are sold as 160mm clamps, the jaw space in the Axminster is closer to 180mm, whereas the Banggood is just under 160. The depth of both is 70mm however. Now I don't use Festal pattern guardrails, but I do like this type of clamp for use in 20mm benchtop dog holes, and for this, these clamps work just fine. Has very good clamping pressure. In fact, the ratchet teeth being closer together may make it easier to overdo it, I don't know, but without forcing it, it gives ample clamping, as these clamps should. I have a couple of benches that use 40mm profile with an 8mm slot in which these clamps come in handy. Pretty much the same slot as Festal rails and accessories. And as you can see, the clamp does its business in the profile just fine. So, as something I parted with my own money for, I think this is an absolute bargain. Bit of rubber stuck to the shoe and an M4 bolt through the bar. It's in regular rotation with my Bessie and Axminster clamps now. Ideal. This is an all-aluminium plane stop branded Hongdui, if I'm saying that right. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know that so far, anything I've tried with that brand has been fairly impressive. So after receiving the one Banggood kindly sent to me to try, I went ahead and parted with my own meagre funds to buy another. Simple things, black anodised plates with a T-slot on the underside housing two aluminium dogs. These can slide along the T-slot, allowing you to fix via a 2-dog hole span or 3. The dogs themselves are a superb fit in the holes, and the stops sit about 6mm above the worktop. Laid out in a right angle, they'd be great for planing, though, as is obvious, not on my bench. You'll notice it's particularly wobbly in this video. I didn't realise the thing was only standing on 3 legs when I filmed it. Oh well, you get the idea I'm sure. I found I've been using these almost exclusively as a workpiece stop when using the plunge saw and guardrail. For this purpose, at work or at home, they've proved great. Being so low profile, it's possible you could use them to clamp as shown and potentially edge trim right over the stop. I haven't done this myself yet, but you know, there's potential there. The dogs don't tighten down in the slot. As such, there is some very slight wiggle in the plate above the table. You can still get an accurate right angle with the dog holes, but only when the stop plate is pushing against the dogs, if you catch my drift. At around £9.38 each, I think these are a good buy. I love them. So everything you see me review from Banggood, whether they've sent it to me or it's something I've bought myself, they're all items I've scoured the site for and deemed them worthy of a closer look. I do get a fair few emails from them though, with requests to review certain products. So far, they've always been either irrelevant or plastic rubbish, so I've just said, nah, I'll pick something out if that's alright. On this one occasion, they got in touch saying, do I want a work apron? As it happened, I did. Something I can have at home and sling on when gluing up and applying finishes, because I'm a bit of a mucky pup. They sent me this heavy canvas number in the colour of my choosing. Good number of pockets and loops for odds and sods. The canvas doesn't feel quite as heavy as that on my Carhartt work trousers, say. It feels plenty rugged enough for cutting about the garage as I work on bits. The straps with the faux leather crossover at the back might seem a bit of a faff, but once you've got your bearings with it, it only takes a second to pop on. The crossover straps is one of the things that appealed to me. I've worn ones like it before. The bonus of them is, as you can hopefully see demonstrated on our handsome model, is they pull the apron into the torso nicely, not only giving a slimming line for the discerning workshop operative of the night, but also means the neckline doesn't fall open like those that loop round the head, compromising the operative's decorum and grace, or indeed presenting a hazard when operating machinery. I like it. Available in this brown, a grey and a blue, and sell for around £18. Next up is this all-aluminium Mitre Protractor. Nothing particularly quirky or standout, just a straightforward, well-made tool. Most of you will know of these, but just in case you're new to them, they can indicate internal and external corner angles. The numbers around the outside, labelled single cut, indicate the measured angle. The numbers on the inside indicate that angle halved to give you the mitre cut. They're extremely useful for skirting, coving or cornice or what have you, especially where you might have corners or angles that aren't a perfect 90 or 45 mitre. My workaday one has been the plastic Starrett. Nothing wrong with it, works a treat as you'd expect, but you know, while a bit of give in plastic can have its advantages on site, I do like a good solid bit of kit. Starrett do an all-alley one of course, albeit 3 times the price of this one from Banggood, which cost around £16. Not to diminish Starrett tools of course, they're pretty much the benchmark for such tools and for good reason. Interesting then that the little pamphlet that comes with the Banggood protractor refers to your Starrett 505 protractor, basically the plastic one I showed you earlier. Gotta laugh. Now seating a cornice right in a mitre box or on your mitre saw, and there are a few accessories to help with this these days, can mean you just mitre cut your pieces. But maybe if your saw capacity is limited or you're laying your cornice flat to cut, you need both a mitre and bevel angle. The provided pamphlet gives you a conversion chart for such cuts. Interesting more than useful I'd say. Rather than follow the chart, I'd probably advise watching some of the good demos on YouTube. No harm in having these sort of charts in the drawer somewhere for reference though. With decent sized markings and with the sharp contrast of white on black, the protractor is nice and easy to read. The laser etched markings all appear spot on too, much easier to read than my Starrett. Lastly, there's this all metal drilling guide for concealed hinges on kitchen unit or wardrobe doors and such. It seems very well constructed with its all-alley body. The drill bit is a 35mm Foston type with spring return and a depth stop. There's a point machined into the front of the body to indicate centre and a basic screw clamp below. There's 4mm of horizontal adjustment from 3 to 6mm to set your required or preferred inset of the hinge. There's also an indication on the inside back of the guide to help set drilling depth. In the box with the guide is a little adapter to use a 1/4 inch hex fitting if you prefer. It has a magnet inside to help hold it to the drill bit, but it's pretty weak and ineffectual to be honest. You also get 2 Allen keys supplied to adjust the stop collar and inset position. With the collar set as low as it will go on the drill shaft, the drilling depth appears to read approximately 11mm. For most hinges this is about right, but if you want a shallower depth you'll have to remove the collar and pop a couple of washers on so you can get a sub 10mm depth. Not ideal, but not what I'd call a deal breaker either. Another minor irritation is that there's a little play between the drill bit and bushing in the guide. So I've got a piece of 15mm melamine chipboard here to do a couple of test holes. A couple of 60mm lines to give us a centre to work to. Hopefully you can see in the shot here, the indicator on the front is clear to align to your marks. I haven't screwed down too tight. Given that would be the face of a cupboard door, a plastic or rubber foot rather than a steel one would have been better. I think the drill bit has like a 12mm hex, so you'll need a good 13mm chuck to use it without the adapter. First hole I'm just blasting through full speed to see how it goes. The bit is certainly progressive, no problem at all tearing through the material. Fits my favoured Blum clip-on hinge, no props. Blasting the hole at full speed did give me some chipping in the melamine. All hidden when the hinge is in place, but ordinarily I tend to ramp up speed when I'm through the melamine for a clean cut. So the inset out of the box is about 4.5mm, pretty much where I'd normally put it, and within the 3 to 6mm recommended by Blum for this hinge. Thing is, I'll be damned if I can see any drill centre mark indication on the body that I can line up to the 3, 4, 5 and 6mm marks provided. Best bet is to adjust it to its maximum 6mm and scratch your own indicator mark in the body once you've checked it, of course, which is what I'll do here. Hopefully extended all the way out to its 6mm position. I'm not only going to try drilling using the hex bit adapter, but thought it wise to check the centre point too. A couple of quick blasts to mark the melamine. And considering the bit of play of the bit in the guide, that's not as bad as I thought. It actually looks worse on camera, more biased to the right, than it did in the flesh. The line is running through the hole, though not quite perfect centre. This time I'm drilling the hole with the drill on its slow speed to see if we can't get a perfectly clean cut. As you can see, starting slow does give perfectly clean cuts in the melamine. Happy to see the inset is exactly 6mm too, so I can etch my indicator mark. Not a huge pain to set up each time if you need to, but for most this would be a set once tool really, centre mark, clamp and drill. I don't think £22 is a bad price to pay for it if you fit a lot of units. Like the Ratchet clamp from earlier though, a little protective material stuck to the foot of the clamp wouldn't go amiss. So once again, not a bad little haul. Hope you found it helpful if you've been considering any of these. As usual, all the links will be provided in the description, and thanks for watching.